So, I am very bad at talking about video games when I'm not directly playing them, as in I am quite bad at recalling them after the fact and explaining the pros and cons of them. You could say that I suck at it, pun intended. Anyway, I am gonna take off my headphones in order to not get distracted by Reed over here while you watch gameplay that I have recorded a bit earlier today. For you see, I have played this game when it released in 2018, and there is a playlist made by a much younger Mirta from 7 years ago down in the description down below, in case you're interested. I don't remember being that person by this point, as, you know, age does its thing and time progresses. But anyway, I am sure that she would have been happy to hear that at least somebody watched those videos at a time. I've gotten Vampyr in 2018 when there was quite the dry spell for vampire games. Mind you, the dry spell for good vampire games is still continuing, but Vampire the Masquerade as a franchise is kicking about again, so we have received some visual novels and one not that good Fortnite clone, and also Bloodlines 2 is in the development, which will have nothing to do with Bloodlines 1, and there's also that vampire game coming from a studio that branched off from the studio that made The Witcher, and of course Swan Song exists, and that's all I can say about it. So there have been quite a few developments on the vampire game front ever since this game has released, but this game actually lives in my head rent-free. There has never been much of a fan base following it. It kind of released and it fizzled out. The reviews for it probably weren't even like that good. I'm pretty sure it's still positive on Steam, but people do have some issues with it. So how about I'll tell you the problematic bits of Vampyr. To begin with, the game is sorta linear. You have to go through the same actions if you're replaying it, as there is a set narrative and you have to go through it. And there are choices that you can make that will change the environment around you and that will change your gameplay, but those are kind of key choices, so for a while you will be, for the most part, playing it the exact same way every single time when you will want to repeat it. And while there is quite the choice of leveling up abilities and what you invest your experience points into and what you don't, they're all mostly combat focused, so it's not like you can unlock secret dialogue or ability to traverse the terrain in a spectacularly different fashion by investing your XP points, which once again means that while the combat becomes a bit more varied, the rest of the game is kinda linear, and the game also has pacing problems, for you see half of the game is talking with people a lot and in depth, asking them every single little thing that you can ask, getting hints about people, investigating, and so on and so forth. And the other half of the game turns into brutally hard and fast combat segments. It's like the game really whiplashes you. At one point you're feeling like you're playing a narrative adventure, at the other point you're feeling like you're playing Dark Souls, and it just keeps on juggling between those points. And those are honestly the bad points of Vampyr, and why I think it kinda got drowned out by other game releases. The strong points is partly the game's story. It's not a super difficult premise. You're a doctor. At the very start of the game, you get embraced by another vampire. You don't know who they are. You wake up in a corpse pile, attack the first person that you find, which happens to be your family member. You kill them. You feel very bad about that. You search for your sire quite fervently, and at one point you're even starting to hear voices from your sire in your head, because sometimes you do, that happens. You run into the fact that London is under a very strange disease that is killing a whole bunch of people en masse. There's quite the outbreak of vampirism happening at the exact same time. There's vampire hunters. You kind of get pulled into that whole mess and start by looking for your sire and end up investigating everything else along the way until everything kind of falls into place and things just tie together into one nice, neat little package. The protagonist, in my opinion, in this game is just about as good as a protagonist in Deus Ex or the protagonist in the Witcher series, which is to say that I have quite some fondness for Jonathan Reed. He has a fairly good voice actor. I like his lines. Sometimes his show of emotion ends up being a bit unhinged, but you are playing an undead creature. If his demanding tone to extract information from someone in a very stressful situation comes off as shouting and quite menacing, that does feel quite fitting. It is really a shame that this game has not really received the kind of attention that it, in my opinion, should have, because once again, I understand that this is not like a create your own character RPG with a lot of different approaches to situations where you can spec yourself to be more talking based or spec yourself to be more combat based. And I understand that the gameplay that you will be experiencing will be quite similar if you ever choose to replay this game, but it is a damn good vampire game. And we don't have a lot of these. I would easily rate it above Swansong, and considering that there isn't a lot in the genre, that ends up us rating a title pretty high because there isn't a lot in the genre. I somehow have a feeling that if this game was made inside Vampire the Masquerade franchise, it would have gotten a lot more attention and it would have gotten the praise that it deserved. But as it was a standalone by a different studio with its own personal vampire lore and nothing interconnecting it into any kind of wider franchise, and as there's not really gonna be a sequel from what I know, this is like your small window into playing as Jonathan Reed and experiencing Jonathan Reed's travel through vampirism, which is its own unique little thing, but it is a tight little neat box, and people don't quite always like tight neat little boxes. They tend to like more of what they like, and if there's never more of what they like, if it is a standalone tight little neat box, it tends to be hard for people to fully adopt it. Now, considering that we're still in the drought of good vampire games, I do have high hopes for the studio that broke off from the studio that made The Witcher that's making a vampire game. I think that that's gonna be quite interesting. While I do have high hopes for that, I don't really see any high-budget, good vampire games on the horizon. So honestly, if you have not given Vampyr a try by this point, may I suggest that you do? I can't express my love for this game enough. It is such a unique narrative experience with very difficult combat for some reason. Now, mind you, this is a recording, and we're currently listening to Dr. Reed investigate this person in depth. But just let me show you what I mean, because I've done quite a bit, and I've also done quite a bit of dying. Quite a bit of dying. So let's start here. Just show combat. This isn't even a boss or anything. This is just Mirta really sucking at combat. I am quite underleveled compared to the enemies in the area at the moment, but I wanted to explore the area, and honestly, the enemies kind of always feel a bit above you in the level curve. And that is intentional, because there are moral choices in this game. If you eat people, especially people that you have figured out a lot of information about and done a lot of quests for, you get a load of XP. But it influences your ending badly, and it also influences the area that you're in badly, because you are removing key parts of the area in order to just turn that into pure XP. I never like doing that, so I never do that, which means that I'm always playing at a bit of a lower side. And honestly, I kind of like that there's that moral choice there, that you can eat everybody and get all the XP that you want, or you can choose not to. It's a bit like Baldur's Gate 3's with the whole either collecting parasites or not thing, but they really gimped that one. So you could collect all the parasites and this doesn't really change anything outside of making your character stronger. While in here there's actual real repercussions for eating a whole town of people. But at the same time, you get very strong, and that's satisfying. So there's always that carrot that kind of dangles. I also appreciate that this game has its own unique vampire lore. All of the games kind of pull from the same bag, so Jonathan Reed is damaged by sun, by fire, by crosses, by really powerful shotgun weapons. But for example, you can't actually kill a vampire by sunlight because they will burn to the bone, their bones will continue moving, and when the night starts, they will start regenerating. You have to kind of decapitate them in order to fully finish them off. And in this place, the vampires call themselves econs, which is another new unique word for vampire. It's always some choice of very similar lore that get put into vampire games, because everybody's pulling from the same bag, and there's things that are pulled a bit less often, like for example the need to collect rice and count them in case somebody throws that right in front of you. The cannot cross running water tends to be a more well-known and popular vampire mythos. I also don't see that used in video games all that often. Having no reflection sometimes gets used in video games, and that's another popular mythos, but not here. So everybody kinda is pulling from the same bag of vampire mythos. It's just that how they approach it becomes different. So this is one approach to the vampire mythos in video game form, with a fairly awesome protagonist that I really enjoyed playing through when I played through it in full, and that I really enjoyed playing a bit of it today when I found the time to do so. That really kind of doesn't get discussed or talked about almost at all. So I just wanted to talk about it. I just wanted to tell you guys, hey, this thing exists. you should probably experience it, especially if you're a vampire game fan. It's pretty cool, actually. As long as you understand its drawbacks, such as whiplashing you harshly between hard gameplay and a narrative-focused, almost detective adventure where you spend hours upon hours talking with every single Billy and Joey in the area. But hey, you have the moral choice of eating every single Billy and Joey in the area after you're done talking with them, in case you really want the big bag of delicious XP that will really help you with those fights around the place, you know. So that's all that I have to say about it, honestly. I really like this game. I don't know if I told you enough. Nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever searches for it. That's a shame. It's a singular standalone title that really won't ever see a sequel, and it's not part of a bigger franchise, so if you do enjoy it, there's no other way to connect yourself to that world, which is a shame, but you know what? Some good things come in small packages. Like a neatly wrapped up, tightly packaged story that had a beginning, middle, and end, and just finished after it finished. And that's that. That's all, really. If you're still here, thank you for watching. As I said, I'm not too good at these sort of videos where I express why something is good or bad. I did kind of say up front why this title didn't get as much praise as it deserved, and by this point it's gone down the stream of time that never stops passing, just like my youth, or I can't get those 7 years back. Honestly, I like myself now better, but oh boy, would I love to get the youth of 7 years ago back. That would be nice. So just me in the current circumstance, but with the body of me 7 years ago. How about that? That would be nice. Trade. Okay, no trade. Thank you for watching this video, for as long as you have stuck around with me. If you like these kind of videos, take a broader look at this channel. I do spiritual stuff. I talk about video games a lot. I am a fan of vampire games. It's been one big desert. It's very hard to find good vampire games. They don't come around often, so it's a pretty niche subgenre to enjoy. And if you like what you see, perhaps you could subscribe. That would be really nice. If you want to see me be a lot more clueless than I already am, please feel free to check out the playthrough that I made 7 years ago, where I was 7 years younger. And other than that, thank you for my Patreon subscribers, that help me produce content such as this, which I know is not the most professional content, but it is the best that I can do, for I express my love in very unique ways. And also thank you for funding my gaming habit and allowing me to participate in this wonderful world of gaming. I hope I'm gonna see you guys on my other videos. Toodaloo for now.